Hey everybody, it's Nathaniel Avila reporting from Dallas County. And we're here with Jessica Vega from San Antonio. How you doing?
Hello. I'm doing okay. I am doing okay.
Uh-huh. So what are we talking about today?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
um, Today we are going to talk about the Golden State Killer.
Okay.
That dude.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about one Joseph James D'Angelo, aka the Golden State Killer, who is an
Mm-hmm.
American serial killer, serial rapist, burglar, and former police officer who committed at least 13 murders, 50 rapes, 120 burglaries across California between 1973 and 1986.
Yup.
So, you want to get started on his early life?
Yeah, I will. Okay, so this one is a long one, and I'll preface it. It's got a lot of, if you haven't already heard of this guy, but if you're interested in true crime, which I'm pretty sure you're listening to this, so you probably are. This has a lot of violence, a lot of crimes against women, sexual violence. So it's just a preface. But all right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, so Joseph D'Angelo. Let me go back. Sorry. Was born on November 8th, 1945 in Bath, New York, to Joseph James D'Angelo, a senior, a sergeant in the U.S. military, as in the Army, and Kathleen Louise DeGroat. He has two younger sisters and a younger brother. A relative reported that when D'Angelo was a young child, he witnessed his 7-year-old sister's rape by two airmen in a warehouse in West Germany, where the family was stationed at the time. Following his conviction, one of D'Angelo's sisters claimed that he was abused by their father while he was growing up. So between 1959 and 1960, D'Angelo attended Mills High School in Rancho Cordova, California. In 1961, he attended Folsom High School, from which he received a GED in 1964. He played on the school's junior varsity baseball team. Prosecutors reported that D'Angelo committed burglaries and tortured and killed animals during his teenage years. So if we know anything about serial killers, we know that's kind of like the first step before they progress to being serial killers,
It's the Mc-
killing
it's the
animals.
McDonald's triad.
Yeah, man.
Do you know what the McDonald's triad is? I think I mentioned it before.
I don't remember, but
Let me tell you what it is real quick.
tell me.
It is
Tell
one,
us.
maiming and killing animals. Number two, arson, fire, and
Mm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Number three,
Okay.
bedwetting. Okay, and that's it.
Okay. So those all kind of come together to make a it's a serial killer recipe.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, crazy. Okay. All right. So D'Angelo joined the United States Navy in September of 1964 and served 22 months during the Vietnam War as a damage controlman on the cruiser USS Canberra and destroyer tender USS Piedmont. Beginning,
I think it's pronounced Canberra.
huh?
I think
Okay.
yeah,
Canberra.
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 Yeah, Canberra.
Okay. Beginning in August 1968, D'Angelo attended Sierra College in Rocklin, California. He graduated with an associate's degree in police science with honors. He attended Sacramento State University in 1971, where he earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. D'Angelo later took a postgraduate course and further police training in the college at the College of the Sequoias in Visalia. Then completed a 32-week police internship at Roseville Police Department, training to be an officer.
Mm.
So in May 1973 to August 1976, he was a burglary unit police officer in Exeter. a town of about 5,000 people near Visalia, having relocated from Citrus Heights. He then served in, what is that, Auburn?
Auburn,
He then
yeah.
served in Auburn from August 1976 to July 1979 when he was arrested for shoplifting a hammer and dog repellent. He was sentenced to 6 months probation and fired that October. During the process of being fired from the city of D'Angelo, threatened to kill the chief of police and allegedly stalked the chief's house. Allegedly. You know he did.
Okay, but do you have any evidence, though?
You know he did. Okay. In May 1970, D'Angelo became engaged to Bonnie, which we'll hear a lot more about later on. Bonnie Jean Caldwell, a classmate at Sierra College, but she broke off the relationship after D'Angelo threatened her with a gun in order to force her to marry him.
Yeah, that'll end your relationship.
Real quick, I mean, some people will be like, maybe he really loves me.
And then if that person does that, you need some therapy, okay? That's not normal.
That's not normal. It's not normal. Okay. During the process of being fired.
He loves me so much. Can hold me hostage.
So much. You can't live without me. No.
Okay.
During the process of being okay, hold on. I think I reread that over. So in November of 1973, he married Sharon Marie Huddle in Placer, now known as Loomis. In 1980, they purchased a house in Citrus Heights, where he was eventually arrested. Huddle became an attorney in 1982, and they had 3 daughters. 2 were born in Sacramento, and 1 was born in Los Angeles before the couple separated in 1991. In July 2018, Huddle filed for divorce, and they were divorced in 2019. D'Angelo's employment history in the 1980s is unknown. From 1990 until his retirement in 2017, he worked as a truck mechanic at a Save Mart supermarkets distribution center in Roseville. He was arrested in 1996 over an incident at a gas station, but the charge was dismissed. His brother-in-law said that D'Angelo casually brought up the East Area rapist in conversation around the time of the original crimes. Neighbors reported that D'Angelo frequently engaged in loud, profane outbursts. One neighbor reported that his family received a phone message from D'Angelo threatening to deliver a load of death. What? Because of their barking dog. Like, how do you threaten that? Like,
I'll deliver you a throat of death. If somebody said that to
deliver you a road of death.
If somebody says that to me, I would be like, "Are you like 13?
What does that even mean?
Are you a 13-year-old?
Can I see this?
Are you a 13-year-old like edgelord like on the internet saying
I know this isn't funny, but I mean, come on. If somebody threatened you like that, I don't know that I would take that as a threat. But he was living with a daughter and a granddaughter at the time of his arrest. Okay. So that was his early life and career. Summed up.
Yeah, let me talk to you about the crimes, the meat of the thing.
Okay.
So, DNA evidence linked D'Angelo to 8 murders in Goleta, Ventura, Dana Point, and Irvine. 2 other murders in Goleta, lacking DNA evidence, were linked by modus operandi. He pleaded guilty to 3 other murders, 2 in Rancho Cordova and 1 in Visalia. D'Angelo also committed more than 50 known rapes in the California counties of Sacramento, Contra Costa, Stanislaus, San Joaquin, Alameda, Santa Clara, and Yolo. Yeah, you only live once.
Only once.
Mm-hmm. And he was linked to hundreds of incidents of burglaries, thefts, vandalism, peeping, stalking, and prowling.
God, this guy was 1,000% creep.
Mm-hmm. So, it was long suspected that the training ground for the criminal who would become the East Area rapist was Visalia, California, although later Visalia crimes dating back as early as May 1973 and other sprees like that of the Cordova cat burglar, as well as burglaries that take place after the McCowan shooting, are now suspected to be linked as well. Over a period of 20 months, D'Angelo is believed to have been responsible for one murder and around 120 burglaries. Most of the ransackers' activities involved breaking into houses, going through or vandalizing the owner's possessions, scattering women's underclothing, and stealing coins and low-value personal items, while often ignoring banknotes or other valuable items in plain sight. In late April 2018, the Visalia chief of police stated that there was no DNA linking D'Angelo to the Central Valley cases. His department and had other evidence that played a role in the investigation, and he was confident that the Visalia ransacker has been captured. Through the statutes of limitations for burglaries have each expired, so he got free on that. So D'Angelo was formally charged on August 13th, 2018 with first-degree murder of Claude Snelling in 1975. In 2020, D'Angelo pleaded guilty to the murder of Claude Snelling, confirming that he was the Visalia ransacker. I've never seen like a serial killer with so many nicknames before than this guy.
Well, it's because it was forever. Like they caught him just recently, right?
Yeah, pretty recently.
And this has been ongoing from the early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that he did it several times to several different people. He was able to get away with it. Everything that he did for such a long time, they gave him all these different names.
Mm-hmm. So the first recorded ransacking was on March 19th, 1974, when a sum of $50 in coins was stolen from a piggy bank. Most of the ransackers' activities involved breaking into houses, rifling through or vandalizing the owner's possessions, scattering women's underclothes, and stealing a range of no-value items, while often ignoring banknotes or other high-valued items in plain sight. The ransacker would also often arrange or display items in the house. Items emptied included piggy banks and coin jars, and stolen items often included blue chip stamps, foreign or historic coins, historic and personal items such as single earrings, cufflinks, rings, or medallions, but also included 6 weapons and various types of ammunition. Multiple same-day ransackings were common as well, including 12 separate incidents on November 30th, 1974. So, common MOs of the burglaries included, for those who don't know, MOs mean modus operandi, which is Latin for mode of operating, which is someone's habits of working, particularly in the context of business or criminal investigations, but also more generally. As last one play the, you know what?
Wow.
What?
You sounded like a human dictionary there, bruh. Yeah. But yeah, good. Thanks. I didn't know that. I always knew MO was their like you said, routine. Like this was their thing, their way. When they did a crime, this was the way they did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now you know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about like law and things like that, they love their Latin phrase. Law and government loves Latin.
Didn't know that.
There's like a bunch of Latin words and phrases that are used. So let me see. So his MOs included scaling fences, moving through established routes such as parks, walkways, ditches, and trails, attempting to pry open multiple points of entry, particularly windows, leaving multiple points of escape open, especially windows, as well as the house, garage, and garden doors. Moving removed window screens into beds or into bedrooms, placing warning items such as dishes or bottles against doors and on door handles, wearing gloves, given the absence of fingerprint evidence. So, on September 11th, 1975, D'Angelo broke into the home of Claude Snelling, who was 45 years old, at 532 Whitney Lane, which is now South Whitney Street, Snelling, a journalism professor at the College of Sequoias, had previously chased a prowler discovered under his daughter's window at around 10 p.m. on February 5th, 1975. On September 11th, he was awakened around 2 a.m. by strange noises. Upon leaving his bedroom, Snelling shouted and ran through the open back door and confronted a ski mask intruder on his carport, attempting to kidnap his daughter, who had been subdued with threats of being stabbed or shot. Snelling had been shot twice. Staggered back into the house, into his to his wife, and later died. After the shooting, the assailant fled the scene, leaving behind a stolen bicycle at 715 Redwood Street. After the murder, Beth Snelling, who was 16, a cheerleader at Mount Whitney High School, underwent hypnosis in order to gather further details. The Visalia Police Department also committed more resources to apprehending the ransacker, and a $4,000 reward, which is around $19,000 today, was posted.
I'm glad they put that.
So nighttime stakeouts were set up near houses. Set up near houses that he had previously prowled, but the ransackings continued. At around 9:30 p.m. on December 12, 1975, a masked man entered the backyard of the house at 1505 West Kauai Avenue, near where the ransacker had been reported to frequent. When Detective William McGowan, on stakeout inside the garage, attempted to detain the man, the suspect shrieked, removed his mask, and feigned surrender after McGowan fired a warning shot. However, after jumping the fence to House 1501, he also pulled out a revolver with his left hand and fired once near McGowan's face, shattering his flashlight. Nearby officers rushed to aid McGowan, and the shooter was able to escape. Items collected as evidence included a flashlight, tennis shoe tracks, and a dropped loot, which included blue chip stamps and a blue sock full of coins. So he escaped twice.
Freaking weirdo. Freaking coins. Anyways. So you want me to read this one?
No, I'm going to continue.
Go.
What? So D'Angelo moved to the Sacramento area in 1976, where his crimes escalated from burglary to rape. So burglary wasn't doing it for him anymore.
Ooh.
What? So the crimes initially centered on the then unincorporated areas of Carmichael, Citrus Heights, and Rancho Cordova, east of Sacramento. His initial modus operandi was to stalk middle-class neighborhoods at night in search of women who were alone in one-story homes, usually near a school, creek, or trail, or open space that would provide a quick escape. He was seen a number of times, but always successfully fled. On one occasion, he shot and seriously wounded a young pursuer. Most victims had seen or heard a prowler in their property before the attacks, and many had experienced break-ins. Police believed that the offender would conduct extensive reconnaissance in a targeted neighborhood, looking into windows and prowling in yards, before selecting a home to attack. He was believed that he sometimes entered the homes of future victims to unlock windows, unload guns, and plant ligatures for later use. He frequently telephoned future victims, sometimes for months in advance, to learn their daily routines. Although he originally targeted women alone in their homes or with children, D'Angelo eventually preferred attacking couples. His usual method was to break in through a window or sliding glass door and awaken the sleeping occupants with a flashlight, threatening them with a handgun. Victims subsequently bound with ligatures, often shoelaces that he found or brought with him, then blindfolded and gagged with towels that he had ripped into strips. The female victim was usually forced to tie up her male companion before she was bound. The boundings were often so tight that the victim's hands were numb for hours after being untied. He separated the couple, often stacking dishes on the male's back and threatening to kill everyone in the house if he heard them rattle. He moved the woman to the living room and often raped her repeatedly, sometimes for several hours. What do you have to say about that?
Terrible. Ugh. Ugh.
So D'Angelo sometimes spent hours in the home ransacking closets and drawers, eating food in the kitchen, drinking beer, raping the woman again, or making additional threats. Well, talk about kicking someone while they're down. Victims sometimes thought he left the house before he jumped from the darkness. He typically stole items, often personal objects and items of little value, but occasionally cash and firearms. He then crept away, leaving victims uncertain if he had left. He was believed to escape on foot through a series of yards and then use a bicycle to go home or to a car, making extensive use of parks, schoolyards, creek beds, and other open spaces that kept him off the street. The rapist operated in Sacramento County from the first attacks on June 1976 until May 1977. After a 3-month gap, he struck in nearby San Joaquin County on September before returning to Sacramento for all but one of the next 10 attacks. The rapist attacked 5 times during the summer of 1978 in Stanislaus and Yolo counties before disappearing again for 3 months. Attacks then moved primarily to Contra Costa County in October and lasted until July 1979. So, a young Sacramento couple, Brian Maggiore, a military policeman at Mather Air Force Base, and his wife, Katie Maggiore, were walking their dog in Rancho Cordova area on the night of February 2nd, 1978, near where the 5 East Area rapist attacks had occurred. The Maggiores fled after a confrontation in the street, but were chased down and shot to death. Some investigators suspected that they had been murdered by the East Area rapist because of their proximity to other attacks locations, and a shoelace was found nearby. The FBI announced on June 5th, 2016, that it was confident that the East Area rapist had murdered the Maggiores. On June 29th, 2020, D'Angelo entered a plea of guilty to these murders. So, shortly after the rape committed on July 5th, 1979, D'Angelo moved to Southern California and began killing his victims, first striking in Santa Barbara County on October. The attacks lasted until 1851 with a lone 1986 attack. Only the couple in the first attack survived, alerting neighbors and forcing the intruder to flee. The other victims were murdered by gunshot or bludgeoning. Since D'Angelo was not linked to these crimes for decades, he was known as the Night Stalker in the area before being named the original Night Stalker, after serial killer Richard Ramirez received the former nickname. So on October 1st, an intruder broke in and tied up the Goleta couple, alarmed by hearing them say, "I'll kill him myself." The man and woman tried to escape when he left the room, and the woman screamed. Realizing that the alarm had been raised, the intruder fled on a bicycle. A neighbor, who was an FBI agent, responded to the noise and pursued the perpetrator, who abandoned the bicycle and a knife and fled on foot through local backyards. The attack was later linked to the Offerman-Manning murders by shoe prints and twine used to bind the victims. On December 30th, 44-year-old Robert Offerman and a 35-year-old Deborah Alexandra Manning were found shot to death at Offerman's condominium in Avenida Pequena and Goleta. Offerman's bindings were untied, indicated that he had lunged at the attacker. Neighbors had heard gunshots. Paw prints of a large dog were found at the scene, leading to the speculation that the killer may have brought one with him. The killer also broke the vacant adjoining residence and stole a bicycle later found abandoned on a street north of the scene from a third residence of the complex. March 13th, 33-year-old Charlene Smith, 43-year-old Lyman Smith were found murdered in their Ventura home. Charlene Smith had been raped. A log from a wood pile on the side of the house was used to bludgeon the victims to death. Their wrists and ankles had been bound with a drapery cord. The usual Chinese knot, a diamond knot, was used. An unusual Chinese knot, which is called the diamond knot, was used on Charlene's wrists. The same knot was used in the Sacramento East Area rapist attacks, and at least one confirmed case which was publicly known. The murder was therefore briefly given the name the Diamond Knot Killer. So on August 19th, 24-year-old Keith Eli Harrington and 27-year-old Patrice Briscoe Harrington were found bludgeoned to death in their home in Cockleshell Drive and Donna Point's Nigel Shores gated community. Patrice Harrington had also been raped. Although there was evidence that the Harringtons' wrists and ankles were bound, no murder weapon or ligatures were found at the scene. The Harringtons had been married for 3 months at the time of their deaths. Patrice was a nurse in Irvine, and Keith was a medical student at UC Irvine. Keith's brother, Bruce, later spent nearly $2 million supporting California Proposition 69, authorizing DNA collection from all California felons and certain other criminals. On February 6th, 28-year-old Manuela Withhoon was raped and murdered in her Irvine home. Although Withhoon's body had signs of being tied before she was bludgeoned, no murder weapon or ligatures were found. Though the victim was married, her husband was away, hospitalized, and she was alone at the time of the attack. Withhoon's television was found on the backyard, possibly the killer's attempt to make the crime appear to be a botched robbery. On July 27th, 35-year-old Sherry Domingo and 27-year-old Gregory Sanchez became the original Night Stalker's 10th and 11th murder victims. They were both attacked in Domingo's residence in Toltec Way in Goleta, several blocks south of not Nick Offerman, he's an actor, Robert Offerman's condominium, where she was living temporarily. It was owned by a relative and up for sale. The offender entered the house through a small bathroom window. Sanchez had not been tied and was shot and wounded on the cheek before he was bludgeoned to death with a garden tool. Some believe that Sanchez may have realized he was dealing with the man responsible for the Offerman Manning murders and tried to tackle the killer rather than be tied up. Again, no neighbors responded to the gunshot. Sanchez's head was covered with clothes pulled from the closet. Domingo was raped and bludgeoned. Bruises on her wrists and ankles indicated that she had been tied. Although the residents were missing, a piece of shipping twine was... A what?
Restraints.
Oh, all the restraints were missing. A piece of shipping twine was found near the bed, and fibers from an unknown source was scattered over her body. Authorities believe that the attacker may have worked as a painter or in a similar job at the Cali Real shopping center. On May 4th, 18-year-old Janelle Lisa Cruz was found after she was raped and bludgeoned to death in her Irvine home. Her family was on vacation in Mexico at the time of the attack. A pipe wrench reported missing by Cruz's stepfather was thought to be the murder weapon. Initially, investigators in respective junctions did not think the Southern California murders were connected. A Sacramento detective strongly believed that the East Area rapist was responsible for the Goleta attacks, but the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department attributed them to a local career criminal who was later murdered. Unaware of the Goleta murders, local police in surrounding jurisdictions followed false leads related to men who were close to the female victims. One person later cleared was charged with 2 of the murders. Many years later, the cases were linked almost entirely by DNA testing.
Crazy. I wonder how long that one person got sentenced to. That's crazy.
I don't
That's
know.
what happens with cops sometimes. They get like tunnel vision and they don't even want to look any other place. Like, that's who it is and that's who it's going to be. And I'm going to make it them.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that.
That's insane. But you can tell, like, you can see as you're going through all these crimes, you can see the progression here happening
Right.
as it gets to deaths. This dude was a fucking psycho. Yeah. So.
Want to go over the suspect profile?
Yeah. So the suspect profile. So, these physical characteristics are considered factual based on the crime scene evidence and nearly universal agreement by the victims and law enforcement. So, white male, about 5 feet 10, slender, athletic, shoe size 9 to 9.5, type A blood, non-sector. His semen does not contain blood group antigens. And then, I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means?
Blood group antigens? I don't know.
All right.
He's physically agile.
Yeah, no, I was seeing if it had the definition of what that meant,
No,
but it doesn't.
It just has a
physically
reference.
agile and capable of sprinting, bicycling, and scaling fences. His probable characteristics. These characteristics are considered probable. A small percentage of victims describe the perpetrator differently. 18 to 25 years old. When the rapes began in 1976, authorities believe him to have been 60 to 75 years old in 2018. According to the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department, microscopic paint chips were found at 3 crime scenes, the homicides and a rape. This suggests that the Golden State Killer may have worked in a construction, possibly a paint spray gun. This goes back to what you just talked about, how they found some weird stuff on the victim. Construction work had been ongoing near the 1979 Goleta murder scene, and a cold case investigator contacted the developer in 2013 to identify subcontractors working at the site to obtain employment records. Psychological profile. After criminologists matched serological evidence found in the Southern California murder
Psychological.
scenes. Is that what it's? No, serological.
A speculative psychological profile. I'm looking at the wrong one. Oh, yeah, serological.
Yeah, serological. A speculative psychological profile of the Golden State Killer was compiled based on probabilistics analysis. According to Leslie D'Ambrosia, the primary author of the profile, the Golden State Killer probably had the following characteristics. An emotional age equivalent to 26 to 30 at the time of the murders, beginning in 1979. Yep. Engaged in paraphilic behavior and brutal sex in his personal life. Engaged in sex with prostitutes.
Lock him up.
For that had some knowledge of police investigative methods and evidence gathering techniques. Sexually functional, capable of ejaculation and consenting and non-consenting partners. Dressed well and would not stand out in upscale neighborhoods. Lived or worked near Ventura, California in 1980. Good physical condition, skilled, experienced cat burglar, and may have begun as such. Had a criminal record as a teenager, which was expunged. Had some means of income, but did not work in the early morning hours. Hated women for actual or perceived wrongs. Intelligent and articulate. Neat and well organized in his personal life, and drove a well-maintained car. Sounds like my ex. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Peeped in the window. I'm just kidding. Peeped in the windows of many people who were not attacked. Self-assured and confident. So the profile speculated that the killer might have been incarcerated after Janelle Cruz's murder or killed in the commission of a similar crime. It suggested a review of the 1980s hot prowl burglaries in which a lone male offender had been killed. It indicated a slight chance that the Golden State Killer committed suicide and that he was highly unlikely to be confined in a mental institution. According to the profile, teleprinter bulletins were broadcast to law enforcement agencies throughout the United States after the original homicides. The bulletins requested information on similar home invasions involving sexual assault, murder, bludgeoning, multiple victims, and bondage. As of 2015, no similar crimes had been reported. The profile posited that the Golden State Killer could have continued committing his crimes in another country whose records were not linked.
Oh, okay.
So that is his entire profile. Psychological, probable, physical. That's what they had for him.
All right. So do you think you know this guy now? Inside and out?
I mean, like the known physical characteristics, that doesn't really narrow it down a whole lot.
Right. I mean, yeah. So
that could be any dude in California. Mm-hmm. I mean, not just California, but this seemed to happen in California.
Yeah, but he's worked or lived near Ventura, so in 1980, so that might narrow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So
okay. I don't know about know him a whole lot. I know enough to know that he's a sneaky snake.
Okay.
He's a sneaky snake, and he pays attention to everything they say about him.
Mm-hmm. So do you think he's paying attention to you right now?
He's listening.
From prison?
I don't know.
Or is he on death row? I don't know.
I wonder how much privilege they give them. I don't know what he was sentenced to. Hopefully we will find out by the end of this.
Yeah. So let's talk about this thing that happened in December 1977. So during that time, someone claiming to be the East Area Rapist sent a poem known as The Excitement's Grave to the Sacramento Bee, the Sacramento Mayor's Office, and television station KVIE. On December 11th, a masked man eluded pursuit by law enforcement personnel after alerting authorities by telephone that he would strike on Watt Avenue at that night. So, let's read The Excitement's Grave.
The poem?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All these mortals surviving birth upon facing maturity take inventory of their worth to prevailing society. Oh, it's one of these that rhyme. So, choosing values becomes a task. Oneself must seek satisfaction. The selected route will unmask characters when planes take action. Accepting some work to perform at fixed pay but promise for more is recognized social norm as decorum seeking lore. Achieving while others lifting should be cause for deserving fame. Leisure tempts excitement seeking. What's right and expected seems tame. Jesse James has been seen by all, and Son of Sam has an author. Others now feel temptation's call. Sacramento should make an offer to make a movie of my life that will pay for my planned exile. And just now I'd like to add the wife of a mafia lord to my file. Your East Area Rapist and deserving pest. See you in the press or on TV.
Ooh.
What?
Yeah, and it's crazy how, like, after hearing this, it just sounds like he really liked it. Like, he liked doing what he did because he, as much as he liked doing the crimes, he liked the attention it was getting.
A lot of serial killers love that.
Yeah, it seemed like he liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Just as much as committing the crimes.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, like, you remember, like, the Deadly Drifter, who would claim that he killed a bunch of people that he couldn't have killed?
No.
Yeah.
But he just wanted to be in the press.
Yeah, and the police just wanted to say somebody did it. And also, like, people like the Zodiac Killer who would call into like news stations on live TV and like send coded messages to the police just to taunt them. Jack the Ripper did that too, where he mailed Scotland Yard like a heart or a kidney or something, and sent them letters as well. So it's a very common thing for serial killers to do, just like taunt law enforcement like that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you gotta learn these things. I thought you knew your stuff.
Well, I don't know like all the traits. I know a lot, but I don't know everything, and I don't proclaim to know everything.
Well, I know everything, and I proclaim to know everything.
Well, you do not.
I'm
you
kidding.
Arrogant dude. I've already told you
kidding.
about that.
Okay, I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
What?
You
No,
know
I
you're
am.
not.
I am kidding.
You know you're not.
No, I am. So, during the investigation of the 42nd attack of Danville, investigators discovered 3 sheets of notebook paper near where a suspicious vehicle had purportedly been parked. They believe the pages were dropped accidentally, such as falling out of a bag. The first sheet appears to be a homework essay on General George Armstrong Custer, who was a United States Army officer and cavalry commander in the American Civil War and the American Indian Wars. So the second sheet contains a journal-style entry describing a teacher who made student write lines, which the author found humiliating. So let's see what he had to say. So, mad is the word that reminds me of 6th grade. I hated that year. I wish I had know what was going to be going on during my 6th grade year, the last and worst year of elementary school. Technically it's middle school, but it's fine. Mad is the word that remains in my head. But no, wait, no, it's not. It is the end of elementary school. My fault. I was thinking of 8th grade. Mad is the word that remains in my head about my dreadful year as a 6th grader. My madness was one that was caused by disappointments that hurt me very much. Disappointments from my teachers, such as field trips. He misspelled field. But I think he meant to say field trips. That were planned, then canceled. My 6th grade teacher gave me a lot of disappointments, which made me very mad and made me built a state of hatred in my heart. No one ever let me down that hard before, and I never hated anyone as much as I did him. Disappointment wasn't the only reason that made me mad in my 6th grade class. Another was getting in trouble at school, especially talking. That's what really bugged me, was writing sentences. Those awful sentences that my teacher made. ... Me right. Hours and hours I'd sit and write 50, 100, 150 sentence day and night. I write those dreadful paragraphs which embarrass me more and more important, it made me ashamed of myself, which in turn, deep down inside 2 separate words, made me realize that writing sentence wasn't fair. It wasn't fair to make me suffer like that. It just wasn't fair to make me sit and write, misspelled, until my bones ached. I think you meant to say ached. Until my hand felt very horrid pain. It never had, and as I wrote, I got madder and madder until I cried. I cried because I was ashamed. I cried because I was disgusted. I cried because I was mad, and I cried for myself. Kid who kept on having to write these Dane sentences. I think you meant to say darn or something like that. My angriness from 6th grade will scar my memory for life, and I will be ashamed for my 6th grade year forever. I heard you laughing. Why were you laughing?
It sounds so like this dude didn't want to do anything. Sentences.
It scarred him for
sentencing.
life. Okay, nah, it's not. It's no excuse to becoming a serial killer.
It is not. But
Why
what the
did you do
hell?
it? Why
He's
did you?
just a really angry and irritated sixth grader.
Yeah, like why did you kill all these people? Because when I was in sixth grade, my teacher made me write
To right.
sentences. Why are you so mean? You're so awful. No, it's not funny.
Stupid.
It's not funny.
It's not funny.
So,
But come on, that's laughable.
you didn't know how to spell or do anything. Like you had a lot of typos in there. Um. So what?
No, I'm just laughing at it still.
Yeah. So on the last sheet was a hand-drawn map of what appears to be a suburban neighborhood. The word punishment scrawled across the reverse side. Investigators were unable to identify the area depicted on the map, although the artist clearly had knowledge of architectural layout and landscape design. According to Detective Larry Poole, the map is a fantasy location uh, representing the rapist's desired striking ground. So let me show you what it looks like. So this is how it looks. This is what it looks like.
Okay.
So that's what he drew. This is the actual like thing that we just read about him like talking about sentences about how it scarred his life or something. So yeah, it looks like it was kind of written by a madman.
This this looks like something somebody would write when they're pissed off about having to write a whole page front and back kind of deal.
So he wrote a full page front and back.
About how much I hate that I have to write a page.
Okay.
And like the writing's all like that. Like I remember when my teachers would tell us we have to write like an essay of so many words. And
When was that? Like the 1950s?
You're funny.
Okay.
And I would write so big, so it would like take up the whole page.
Really?
Like 3 words
Did that
per
ever work?
line.
Did that ever work?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
I just like slid by in high school, dude. Like barely.
That was in high school? I thought that was like middle school or late elementary.
No, it was in high school.
In high school,
some of us were privileged, honey.
When I was
our education is like.
When I was in high school,
mine is like here, and yours is like.
Like when I went to high school in the 2010s, the early 2010s, and we did everything typed. So I just typed everything.
Oh, see, no. But like I said, we all got everything, and we did
it. So let's go on to what happened here on March 18th, 1977. So the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office received 3 calls from a man claiming to be the East Area rapist. None were recorded. So the first 2 calls, received at 4:15 and 4:30 p.m., were identical and ended with the caller laughing and hanging up. The final call came at 5 p.m., with the caller saying, "I'm the East Side rapist, and I have my next victim already stalked, and you guys can't catch me." So, yeah, there goes that.
How irritating is that to be the person on the other end, like, I hate you.
Okay.
Quit your shit, you know?
I forgot to show you this bit about the thing about this other thing. Okay, here's another part of the thing where he scrawled punishment on the side. Yeah, this is how it looks like.
Wow. Art.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, back to the phone calls.
The story.
So, a man claiming to be the rapist called the Sacramento police saying, "You're never gonna catch me, East Area rapist. You dumb effers. I'm gonna F again tonight. Be careful." The call was recorded and later released. As with the previous call, the next victim was attacked that night. During the 1977 Christmas season, a previous victim received a phone call that she attributed to her attacker. Her caller said, "Merry Christmas. It's me again." So, shortly before 10 p.m. on December 10th, 1977, Sacramento authorities received two identical calls saying, "I'm gonna hit tonight, Watt Avenue." Both were recorded, and the caller was identified as the same person who placed the call on December 2nd. Law enforcement patrols were increased that night, and at 2:30 a.m., a masked man eluded officers after being seen bicycling on the Watt Avenue Bridge. When spotted again at 4:30 a.m., he discarded the bicycle and fled on foot. The bicycle had been stolen. So the best known the best known rape victim the first known rape victim received a wrong phone number call asking for Ray on January 2nd, 1978. The call was recorded, and the police suspect that it may be the same caller who made a threatening call to her later that evening. The call was also recorded and identified by the victim as the voice of her assailant. The caller said, "Gonna kill ya, gonna kill ya, gonna kill ya." And then he just says the B word a couple times. And he says effing, just cursing. What?
He's terrible.
Really? On 1982, a previous victim received a call at her place of work, a restaurant, during which the rapist threatened to rape her again. According to Contra Costa County investigator Paul Holes, the rapist must have chanced to patronize the restaurant and recognized his victim there. In 1991, a previous victim received a phone call from the perpetrator and spoke with him for 1 minute. She could hear a woman and children in the background, leading to speculation that he had a family. On April 6th, 2001, one day after an article in the Sacramento Bee linked the original Night Stalker and the East Area Rapist, a victim of the rapist received a call from him. He asked, "Remember when we played?" What?
He's terrible.
Do you want to talk about the investigation? Okay.
I don't know if it's gonna mention it on here, but I don't see it. Like in some of the ways that he would commit his crimes. The one big thing he was known for was putting plates on the backs of the spouse of the victim.
No, I said that. I said that earlier.
I don't remember hearing that.
Yeah, I said that earlier.
Crazy. Yeah, because I was looking back, I was like, I don't remember hearing you say that. But yeah, he's just a freaking nutbag. Okay, so the investigation. Before officially connecting the original Night Stalker to the East Area Rapist in 2001, some law enforcement officials, particularly in Sacramento County, sought to link the Goleta cases as well. The links were primarily due to similarities in modus operandi. One of the already linked original Night Stalker double murders occurred in Ventura, 40 miles southeast of Goleta, and the remaining murders were committed in Orange County, an additional 90 miles southeast. In 2001, several rapes in Contra Costa County, believed to have been committed by the East Area Rapists, were linked by DNA to the Smith-Harrington with Hun, and the Cruz murders. A decade later, DNA evidence indicated that the Domingo Sanchez murders were also committed by the East Area Rapist, also identified as the Golden State Killer. On June 15th, 2016, the FBI released further information related to the crimes, including new composite sketches and crime details. A $50,000 reward was announced. The initiative included a national database to support law enforcement's investigating of the crimes and to handle tips and information. Eventually, through the use of genetic genealogy, searching on GED match, investigators identified distant relatives of D'Angelo, including family members directly related to his great grandfather, dating back to the 1800s. So based on this information, investigators built about 25 different family trees. The tree that eventually linked D'Angelo alone contained approximately 1,000 people. Over the course of a few months, investigators used the clues like age, sex, and the place of residence to rule out suspects populating these trees, eliminating suspects one by one until only D'Angelo remained. Wow. During the investigation, several people were considered and later eliminated as suspects. So these are some of the people that were considered.
Yeah.
Brett Gillespie from Goleta was considered a suspect by Santa Barbara County investigators, but he was murdered in Mexico in 1982 before the murder of Janelle Cruz. So this eliminated him as a suspect. Paul Schneider, a high-ranked member of the Aryan Brotherhood, was living in Orange County when the Harringtons, Manuela Whitten, let's say it like that, and Janelle Cruz were killed. A DNA test cleared him in the 1990s. And then Joe Alsip, a friend of the business partner of the victim, Lyman Smith, Alsip's pastor said that Alsip had confessed to him during a family counseling session. Alsip was arraigned for the Smith murders in 1982, but the charges were later dropped, and his innocence was confirmed by DNA testing in 1997. So that's the bulk of the investigation.
All right.
So pretty much the way they caught him was by, GED match. I'm guessing that kind of gathers information that people have submitted on the internet to kind of find their family trees and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a U.S. online service to compare autosomal DNA files from different testing companies.
Mm-hmm. So like Ancestry.com, or like if you submit your information to like 23andMe and places like that.
Okay.
That you want to get your stuff from.
Would you ever do this? Would you ever do this?
I've considered it just to see, not necessarily my people that I may be related to out there, but my genetic code. Like, what does my blood have? What am I? Like, am I Spanish or German? I'm not.
I think you are.
I'm like probably like 0.1.
Maybe.
I don't know, but it's interesting for sure.
Right.
But I'm hesitant because like they could pretty much put anything on a piece of paper, and there's no way I would know that it's not true. That's the only reason I haven't.
So on April 24th, 2018, Sacramento County Sheriff's deputies arrested D'Angelo. He was charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder with special circumstances. On May 10th, the Santa Barbara County District Attorney's Office charged D'Angelo with... Oh, wait, what in the world? Oh, wait, no.
The world?
We just got a message from my group chat. So, on May 10th, the Santa Barbara County District Attorney's Office charged D'Angelo with 4 additional counts of first-degree murder. Identification of D'Angelo had begun 4 months earlier when officials led by Detective Paul Holes and FBI lawyer Steve Kramer uploaded the killer's DNA profile from a Ventura County rape kit to the personal genomics website, GDD Match. The website identified 10 to 20 people who had the same great-great-great-grandparents as the Golden State Killer. A team of 5 investigators working with the genealogist Barbara Ray Venter used this list to construct a large family tree. From this tree, they established 2 suspects. One was ruled out by a relative's DNA test, leaving D'Angelo the main suspect. On April 18th, a DNA sample was surreptitiously collected from the door handle of D'Angelo's car. Another sample was later collected from a tissue found in D'Angelo's curbside garbage can. Both were matched to samples associated with Golden State Killer crimes. Since D'Angelo's arrest, some commentators have raised concerns about the ethics of the secondary use of personally identifiable information. D'Angelo made a confession of sorts after his arrest that cryptically referred to an inner personality named Jerry, who forced him to commit the wave of crimes that ended abruptly in 1986. What do you think, Jessica? Are you buying that? No? Why not? It's very believable. Oh gosh.
Oh no!
It's the Golden State Killer. Anyway.
What was that?
No, it was the thing that says, like, basically indicates that it's we can end anytime now. So
we're good.
Yeah. According to Sacramento County prosecutor Tien Ho, D'Angelo said the following to himself while alone in the police interrogation room after his arrest in April 2018. I don't have the strength to push him out. He made me. He went with me. It was like in my head. I mean, he's a part of me. I didn't want to do those things. I pushed Jerry out and had a happy life. I did all those things. I destroyed all their lives. So now I've got to pay the price.
So he's blaming Jerry for all of this?
Yes, and Jerry is a non-existent person. It's just a personality that he named.
Okay, I just want to hear the rest of this.
Okay. So D'Angelo could not be charged with rapes or burglaries as the statute of limitations had expired for those offenses. But he was charged with 13 counts of murder and 13 counts of kidnapping. D'Angelo was arraigned in Sacramento on August 23, 2018. On November 2018, prosecutors from 6 involved counties collectively estimated that the case could cost taxpayers $20 million and last 10 years. At an April 10, 2019 court proceeding, prosecutors announced that they would seek the death penalty, and the judge rules that cameras could be allowed inside the courtroom during the trial. On March 4th, 2020, D'Angelo offered to plead guilty if the death penalty was taken off the table, which was not accepted at the time. On June 29th, in a deal to avoid the death penalty, D'Angelo pleaded guilty to 13 counts of first-degree murder and special circumstances, including murder committed during burglaries and rapes, as well as 13 counts of kidnapping. On August 21st, 2020, D'Angelo received multiple consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. D'Angelo offered a brief apology after listening to days of pre-sentencing victim impact statements. I've listened to all your statements, each one of them, and I am truly sorry to everyone I have hurt. Thank you, Your Honor. On November 3rd, D'Angelo was moved to the North Kern State Prison, which is in Delano, Kern County, California.
So
do you accept it? Yeah? What were you going to say?
Correct me if you did mention it and I didn't hear it. But he was also known for, I think, in part of the ransacking part of it, where he would go to the kitchen and eat. Like, I know you said that he would go and eat and then he'd go back and still assault them.
Yeah.
But it was said that while he was doing this stuff in the kitchen, he was like mumbling to himself, and he would say stuff about Bonnie. And when he would be raping these women, he would say stuff. So, I hate you, Bonnie. I hate you, Bonnie. He would say that a lot. And what we heard earlier that Bonnie was the one that got away, pretty much.
Yeah, the one that he tried to hold up with a gun.
Right. And she didn't know that. So she was at the trial, and she was just like, "You're a fucking nutbag." She was there to hear everything.
So, would you accept his apology?
Hell no.
Really?
A lot of these women probably forgave, but never forgot, just to have that sense of peace for themselves. Because if you hold on to something forever. Something especially as bad as this, it can take over your psyche, or take over your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it might have been Inside Edition or 2020 where I saw the special of this.
Right.
And it had a lot of the victims' interviews, the couples, because when this thing started, it was just women. When their husbands would leave, he would go in and rape them or whatever. So then he got wind that, oh, they're giving me the MO that I don't want to do this when the husband's around. So then he started doing it when the husband was around, and putting those plates on their backs to alarm him when they move. So, yeah, the I think it was 2020 that I saw. The interview that they did with one of the couples that he did this with, that he assaulted. They're still married today, but that took a really big toll on them. And I know it was probably something that caused some divorces, but this couple in particular stayed together.
Yeah. So there's a couple of like other things that you can do some further reading on this case. One including a 2015 book known as "Hunting a Psychopath" by Richard Shelby, which you can check that out. There's another book called "The Case of the Golden State Killer," which was written by both Michael Monford and Michael Ferguson. Uh, and probably the most well known book on this case, called by Michelle McNamara, called "I'll Be Gone in the Dark," which a lot of people attribute it to being the what ended up causing the Golden State Killer to be caught. But law enforcement denies it. But
Well,
that's that.
is that the lady that was married to Pat Oswald?
Yeah, she
Oh,
was
okay.
married
Yeah,
to
I was
Patton
gonna mention
Oswalt.
her. I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she passed away.
Yeah, she was obsessed with this case. She was so obsessed with this case, and she wanted to look into everything about the Golden State Killer, and she passed away before they caught him. So,
Yeah, that was
but
like her dying wish.
yeah, but she actually ended up writing like a letter to the Golden State Killer if they would ever catch him, and it was included in the book, which includes the phrase "I'll be gone in the dark," and that's where they got the title. So check that book out. It's a really good book. I had to read it for class back in
And you
graduate
liked it?
school. It was
I
really
want
good.
it.
Yeah.
Christmas, remember me?
What? Okay. I have the audiobook. I got the audiobook. I didn't get the
Oh,
physical
I like
copy.
hard copies.
Well, yeah, you're an old lady.
I
I'm kidding.
am.
I'm
Like all
kidding.
those fossils behind you. I like those.
Okay. Here's some periodicals called one called "Help Us Catch a Killer," which is from Los Angeles, and "Unmasking a Killer," which is a periodical from CNN, which is a 7-part serial series that profiles uh, the Golden State Killer. Here's some podcasts that you can do. There's called "Three Golden State Killer Podcasts" that go deep into the So one called "Man in the Window," and
I've heard that one.
yeah,
That was good.
yeah, which was by the Los Angeles Times, and another one called "The Creep Among Us," which you can check out.
Creep.
And here's some television shows. An episode of Cold Case Files on A&E includes it, called "The Original Night Stalker." Another one called "Dark Minds" and "Golden State Killer," which was from Investigation Discovery. And for those who have HBO, they have adapted McNamara's book, true crime book, "I'll Be Gone in the Dark," into a documentary series on HBO.
Ooh, for real?
Yes.
Maybe I should read the book first.
Okay. So, and it came out this year. So that's the most recent one, and I would suggest you guys check out the documentary series and the book that it is based off of, in order to get like a full understanding of this case.
Yeah. Like, I know one thing they also said while investigating before they even caught him was, we wonder if this guy is working within law enforcement, because he was always one step ahead of them, like, because he knew where they were in the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's exactly what it was.
So that is the story of Joseph James D'Angelo, aka the Visalia Ransacker, aka the East Area Rapist, aka the Diamond Knot Killer, aka the original Night Stalker, aka Earons, and aka the Golden State Killer. Well, he is locked up. They locked him up and they threw away the key. So
12 life terms plus 8 years.
yeah, without possibility of parole.
So that's 13 murdered, 50 raped victims, 120 burglared. Dang.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have caught him within one of those rapes, you know what? Even if he would have gotten caught within one of those rapes, he probably would have gotten out and still done whatever he did. Because I haven't known a case where they lock somebody up for rape for life. They get out. They get out. So, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, well, it's not like you killed them, so.
Yeah, you just like hurt somebody, you just rough somebody up.
Oh my gosh, dude.
You know, it's terrible. It's sad, because rape doesn't just mess with you physically; it messes some women up like bad.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they want. I know that they wanted to give him the death penalty, but he.
Rape with men, with women, it could be men too.
Yeah, so they wanted to send him the death penalty. They wanted to send him to death row, but they got into a plea. He got into a plea agreement to plead guilty. And
you know what? Something else I was gonna mention. When he came into the trial, he was wheeled in on a wheelchair. He looked like he was already freaking 2 feet in the grave.
Well, he was 75. Right? He was like 75.
And he's sitting there like I can't even talk. I'm so like, But then they had camera footage of him in his cell, climbing around his bunks, climbing around the whole freaking thing like a monkey.
Okay.
Like, who are you trying to fool?
Is he trying to Weinstein it? Like what Weinstein did when he went to the court and he had like a walker? I'm so old. Whatever. I couldn't have sexually assaulted all those women.
No, this dude's just trying to because he knows how to work his way around getting a reduced sentence, or maybe a shorter amount of time. Maybe they'll have compassion on him because he's a frail old man.
I think that might have been his defense attorney's idea.
They called bullshit on that real quick.
Okay.
Because that other attorney got the footage and put it out there. Like, really? You're going to come over here like that, and this is what you're doing in your cell?
Did he play it in court, or was it just...
I don't know if they played it in court or if they just gave it to the press.
Oh, okay.
Because it's there. Like, you could Google it, and it'll come up.
Okay. Well... That's the story of the Golden State Killer, huh?
I keep saying stuff. That's it. I promise.
Okay, the Golden State Killer, and we'll see you guys next time. I've been Nathaniel Avila,
and I've been Jessica Vega,
and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to a Vision podcast, home of Wacky Talkies, The Kingdom, Evil Exists, and many more.